and welcome to the Long Bangers Thursday phone in association with Leith Spirits. I'm Matty, and I suppose we're going to get right into it. It's a quiet week because we're not got a match coming up at the weekend. Obviously, it's the Cup, and we opted out of the Cup this season, opted out early, took the decision that we didn't want to be involved with it, so we excused ourselves and we weren't able to bring another game forward. Some clubs did that as well, didn't they? They managed to get league fixtures in this weekend, but I fancied the break. So we'll talk about the St Johnstone game on Saturday, a 2-0 win, clean sheet for the Hibs, first 3 points of the season on the board. A couple of decent, well, I was going to say a couple of decent goals. They both went in. First goal wasn't really the most pleasing on the eye, but a good goal to get just before half time. And then Boyle's goal was terrific. Might get your thoughts on the best starting 11 as well while we're here, because we've not got loads to talk about. Right, Callum, I'm going to come to you first. First of all, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Good. Thanks for coming on. Right, we've got, it's funny, right? So I don't know what comes up on the screen if somebody joins without the video on, but Samsung SMS918B has come on. I'm guessing that's not the real name on it. I know who it is. It's Stephen Murray sitting there quiet. Welcome to the call, Stephen. We'll get to you in a wee minute. Callum, how did you find Saturday?
It was good to get a win. It reminded me a lot of the game last season against Ross County. I don't know if you remember, we won 2-0, and it was a stinking game. They had no intention of coming forward. I felt like the first half it was awful. Like, we had a lot of the ball, and it was like St Johnstone didn't have to do anything to get it off of us. We just passed it to them eventually. And then as the first half went on, we weren't picking up like players at throw-ins or with short corners, or there's players standing free, and it was like, what's going on here? They've obviously had a rocket at half time. Well, we got the goal just before half time. Strong for Big Marvin, just a proper poacher's kind of finish for Big Miko to just get it there on the line. And then the second half, we just didn't give them a chance. Much better. I felt like Hoylett just looked like, for somebody that's not played for months and months and months, his first touch, his ability to read the game, he was talking to people. It was so good to see him on, and just it was good to get like a few like positive performances with people, and the likes of that. I'd mentioned last week about that Kim Pioka, and he did look like their main target, but their main threat. But Big Marv took care of him no problem, to the point where the boy lost a rag. I think the referee must have touched on him about his socks at the beginning of the game. But no, it was good just to get like a win, a clean sheet, and we weren't moaning about like a last 5 minute collapse or anything like that.
Aye, that was mad with the socks at the start. You ever seen that before? A kick off delayed for somebody to fanny about with their socks?
It's daft, because I think it's because they were showing too much white than their socks being blue, but then our socks weren't white, so there was no actual clash. But obviously it worked because it rattled him to the point he got a red card. So
he looked like he'd had a bet on himself to get sent off by the end of the day. I was watching it. I was like, I couldn't believe Levein never subbed him, because you could see it coming a mile off.
Do you know, that's one of my bugbears with referees. That was coming. There was a point in the middle of the park. He tried to hold Travis off the ground. He'd went with head to head with, I think, Big Marv, and then also he done a beat in the corner, so it was coming. So the referee could have booked him way before that. And that's the thing. Don't get me wrong. I think albeit I got out of the way in that, but they've got a responsibility. That was coming. Everybody's seen it coming, as you say. Even St Johnstone must have seen that coming. But I think, well, that's both their main strikers banned now, eh? So
aye.
Good luck to the new manager.
What a start the boys got. What did you think of the starting lineup? Because we saw Yuan come back into the team, Boyle drop out the team.
I was happy to see him starting. Obviously, there's been a lot about Yuan, to the point where it's a bit of like a taboo subject, whether you praise him or criticise him. But he just, as many people have said, he just didn't look interested. I'm no buying excuses of not having played in that, because he's quite happy to post all these videos on Instagram. He turning folk inside out in training and scoring belters in training. He just wasn't interested. And I think what struck home even more was there was no mention of Figueroa after the game. Like, I think it's quite clear whether we see him feature again or start again. I think it's very unlikely, given the other players we've got coming back in.
I thought Yuan's performance was weird, and I tend to agree with you. Like you do have that mitigation of a player that's coming back in off an injury, but the same too could be said for Hoylett, and the two had very different impacts on the game. Albeit you'd have to say Hoylett had the benefit of coming on when we were a goal up and the game opened up a wee bit more, and it would have been interesting to see how Yuan had fared in that position. We spoke about it in the podcast on Sunday. It was one of the talking points about Boyle being on the bench. Callum, would you keep him on the bench now, or do you think he did enough in that second half to warrant a starting spot?
I quite liked what I seen from Nicky Cadden in the second half. He was a lot more involved. Boyle had obviously been away with Australia, but he only played one of the games. He never played the second. I don't think he got off the bench in the second game at all. It wasn't until after the game he mentioned about kind of playing through the pain barrier with his wrist. So I honestly, I don't know. You mentioned potential starting 11s. I don't know what mine would be at the moment because we've got so many players coming back in now. It's a tough one, and then you've got the question of like kind of what the lineup's going to be. But I think our hands been forced to be with kind of Bowie's injury, so I think we'll continue with kind of big Meek up there on his own. I'd like to have seen Levitt get introduced at the weekend. I'm not going to lie. I thought Molotnikov, he tried in that, but just the way the game panned out, we were kind of had a lot more success down the wings. But I thought that would be an opportunity because he let McCurdy come on. But I thought, you know what, because like in that Ross County game that I mentioned, it was the second half where things opened up and he ended up scoring. I thought, like, if anybody needs a kind of run of minutes on the games, as well as McCurdy, it's Levitt, just to see what he can do. Because one thing that was very apparent in that first half was there was absolutely no creativity whatsoever. And as much as Trantis and Quan have been very, very good and they're quite capable of winning the ball and making that 5-10 yard pass out to the winger or whatever, we're still lacking that bit of creativity, definitely.
Aye, I'd agree with that. Jack, I'll bring you in now. It wasn't just Martin Boyle that was dropped out of the team. Joe Newell also lost his place, I think, through injury, from what I gather. How easy is it for Joe Newell to get back into the starting 11 after the team's picked up a 2-0 win?
Well, there's a lot of discussion on that. I mean, I know that he's out Saturday with a hernia, the last I heard, so I don't know much about that injury. I've never heard of it before myself, but yeah, I think it's going to be hard because you've got the South Korean guy, you've got Nicky Cadden. It's tricky. How does he get back in? And forgot his name. Warren O'Hara, he done well as captain for me. It looked a lot better compared to Joe Neill. Like, there was better communication.
And what did you think of the setup in the midfield then? So we had Rudy in the 10 and Quan and Chiantis as the sort of the two holders. Did you like that?
Yeah, it works because you can see what Rudy has to offer. I've seen it at the start of this season through the cup games as well. He's a really talented player.
And one of the things I was going to ask you, Jack, is I saw a photo through the week. Like Hibs posted it with you didn't get your picture taken with Dwight Gale, did you?
No.
Nah, your doppelganger did.
Doppelganger.
Aye, there was somebody a spitting image.
No.
Anyway, at least that's cleared up. I didn't think it was you, but I thought I would check.
No.
It looked very like you. In terms of how the team's shaping up, then obviously that was our first 3 points, Jack. But how did you feel sort of post-match? Did you think we were heading in the right direction?
We're heading in the right direction, but I say in the first half it took a while for us to settle in. Nicky Cadden, you've seen a better picture of him in the second half, energy-wise, but there's still a lot of work that needs done in that because we've still got a few injured. Kieran Bowie's out for 4 months, we know that, but there's still a lot building up to the Ibrox as well. So how we're setting up for that as well. Because Boyle will be injured, I think, the last I heard.
Well, he did had his Stuckey on in the team photos, didn't he?
Aye, because his wrist, says he was getting surgery for
that. Have you ever drawn a bobby on somebody's Stuckey?
No.
Well, if we try and get Martin, we'll try and get his Stuckey, we can graffiti bobby it up.
That's an idea. That's a bit rude, but I am sure we can do that.
Jack, the first half of a slow start has been something that sort of plagued Hibs a wee bit this season. What do you think's behind that?
I don't know if it's just lack of communication, or just maybe the team's just learning the new formation. There's like various different things that could happen that way.
And another thing I was going to ask you, Jack, before I move on to James, is all goals count the same, right? But not all goals are created equal. We scored two very different types of goals on Saturday. So we had the route one knockdown for the big defender for Miko to bundle it in for the
Aye.
opener. And then with the silky pass, the sprinting forward and the dinked finish from Martin Boyle for the second one. Which of the two goals was the best one?
I'd say Martin Boyle's won the triple with a goal sitting right in the famous 5-upper. Could see a clear image of that.
Aye, bro.
Keeper had no chance.
We're asked that was side on, so the like second back row of the West. This is me being second back row, indicated with my hand there. You have to watch if you're kind of waving your hands up and like this, so you get like a still taking because kind of folk get caught out with that. It's hard to tell when Boyle dinked it. You couldn't tell if it was going in or if it was going wide. But how I knew it was going in is everybody behind the goal started cheering before the ball hit the back of the net. So I think you had a cracking view of it, did you?
Oh, 100%. Can just get a good view because I'm just right above the ultras. So a couple of rows up for there, but you get a clear image. So I think the bottom tier started celebrating before the upper. So that's how it usually works when there's a goal.
Do you get yourself joining in with the songs with ultras?
No.
You need to get sort that out. Get yourself bouncing a bit with them, Jack.
I think the only time I was bouncing about was when they were singing about the shambles when they were getting beat at Parkhead, but that's the only time I was singing. That was it.
Fair dues. There's a good a song as any to get. I think I shared it on Twitter this morning. There was a sort of like was it an 8 billion year old radio signal that scientists discovered. That's great. We've discovered an 8 billion year old radio signal.
It was quite funny because
before Hearts have won a league game.
Me and my dad were just slating Hearts as best as anything in the upper tier. It was funny. And then people were saying, did anybody wish Stephen Naismith a happy birthday? I was like, I didn't even know it was his birthday.
Nah, didn't they? James, how were you feeling about the game on Saturday?
I'm quite relaxed. It was good to get 3 points. I think that's the key thing. I think it's already been touched on. The game was the greatest, but 3 points is 3 points, and games against St Johnstone are never enjoyable. They're never pretty affairs, basically because they sort of know where they are. They know they've got to do it to get the points on the board. We did what we had to do to get points to the board. Pleasing thing for me, scored for a set piece.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been playing that far post ball for Marv a few times now. Been nearly came off in the second half as well, or was it? Yeah, before Quan cleared the famous 5. So it seems to be a tactic. It seems to be working. So hopefully a few more goals from it. My only concern is there's a big, huge hole. It's obvious where the number 10 should be. I mean, Rudy's a cracking young boy, and I would never drop him or give him. I keep getting minutes in the boy because the more experience he gets, the better he's going to get. But I just think maybe Saturday needed a low heat in there. But who would you put in there? Because that's obviously where Duel would go, but who else is there? So a bit stuck, really.
I thought Rudy was one of the highlights on Saturday. I think at half time when I was giving my summary, I think I picked out Rudy as like the one sort of shining spot for that first half. But that was before we scored, obviously. What, James, what do you think was behind the poor first half performance? Was that down to St Johnstone being effective in what they were doing and us not being able to cope with it, or did we just play badly?
I think it's a combination of both. I think the 5 in midfield or 5 at the back, I mean, it was swamped in there. There's no space. And that's been Rudy was got a lovely couple of nice little touches, turns. I'm not going to say he had a bad game. I'm not saying that. I just think it's congested in there, and it's either play around it, which we had to do because everything we created was going down the sides. I think we picked up early. There's no way of getting through the middle of the park. St Johnstone are quite happy for that, for balls to come in. And then their little fullbacks are pretty tricky. I think it was at number 3, basically had Ewan in his pocket. I don't know if this is confidence with Ewan. I said confidence is one thing, match time is completely different other. So it's hard to pinpoint, but I just think they were very well organised, as the Levein side usually are. I was actually surprised with the kind of level of football they played. I think the big number 4 came through a couple of times and they ran the full into the park, took on a few boys. Sure, I beat a clean set of heels as well, took out the cleaners, and we got away with that one. But I just thought that their footballing is actually better than I have seen from St Johnstone. So I think they have slowly progressed under Levein. I know it's sacrilege, but it looked all right. And the big kiddie up front was just lower league level. It's the same as we saw up at Elgin, just somebody wants to rumble rather than play football. A bit like the negative side of Bowie. I know it's also a positive as well, but it's just getting too involved. Just rather the long ball, I think he could have faced off to Marv and jumped into him rather than watching the ball coming down. I'm just like, the guy's lost it. I mean, that's almost like booking. I've seen players get booked for that. But then he just flew in at the corner flag in the 90th minute, which is just crazy. I mean, I wish I'd done it in the first or second minute. It would have been easier, but I just think the slow start Hibs make, I think Dave's got us kind of organised and just says, don't take it easy, don't rush into, don't panic, just let's get shape, let's get slowly into this game, let's kind of assess the opposition rather than this first 20 minutes, what Celtic do, just blitz, just go, high press, push, get a couple of early goals and then step back. I think we're slowly, at the moment, because we're still a new team, we're easing ourselves into games. But the problem is if you do that and you lose an early goal, like we've seen against Celtic twice, it's like, obviously you're uphill. So I don't know if it's manager's instructions, player confidence. It's a tricky one to kind of pinpoint. I'd hope it's kind of manager's decision because that can be rectified because all it has is Dave to say, right, this time we're going to go out early, we're going to start pressing for the start. But if it's a player's confidence, that could take a bit longer to improve on.
Yeah, but I suppose that takes me on to the flip side of that question I asked there about whether we just were bad in the first half is it was much improved in the second half and we looked like we could have scored 4 or 5 goals. Was that down to St Johnstone having to chuck bodies forward or were we just much better at doing what we were doing?
I think we had an outball, I think, with Hoylett. I mean, one of the things that impressed me immediately about him, his first touch is a half turn. I mean, a lot of the wingers and forward players have got the first touches back towards the midfield, whereas Hoylett's first touch was either inside or actually turning to take on the defender. And that alone, I mean, it's the kind of thing Melida did last year. I mean, I was talking about last week about different levels of player. And I say Hoylett is one of those players that's up a level. I wouldn't say Melida level yet, it's yet to be proven, but he just has that. As soon as he takes the ball, he's half turn, he's on to the facing up to the defender. And I just like that. And he seems to be the dead ball man, so that seems to be pretty decent. So once he gets fitness up, I think he's pushing for a start on that right side. And I think Ewan needs to, if he improves and he wants to get it back in the team, I think he's better on the left. But again, being right-footed, he's going to slow the game down and cut inside, same as what Rudy did as well. I just find that a bit annoying for myself personally. It slows it down, want a byline, quick cross.
Fair enough. Jeff, I'll bring you in now. I suppose the first question I've got for you, Jeff, is we all saw him on the touchline, but how many hours sleep do you think Craig Levein actually got before that game?
About as much as I did. Like a vagrant, man. He's just awful. Maybe he knew he was going to get the sack and he was stressing over it, or I don't know. He's just seemed to give up. I never saw his post-match interview, unfortunately. They're usually good when we beat them, but I presume it was pretty downbeat. And,
the interesting thing about Levein's post-match interviews, he was full of praise for his team's first half performance. Second half, he just kind of was quite shocked at how bad they were. But do you think he's got a case? Did St Johnstone do a job on us in the first half? Because we were quite critical when we talked about the game on Sunday about the first half performance for Hibs. So I thought we were pretty poor. And then I watched the interviews and I was like, actually, Levein's happy with what his team have done, despite the fact it totally killed the game. Did they just do a bit of a job on us in the first half, do you think?
They could have done a bit of a job. I think we're at home, we tend to start slow. I don't know why. Away from home, we don't start slow, apart from Celtic Park, which is a different venue. Now, could it be to do with the crowd? We're all a bit anxious because we know the importance of that game, especially. We'd open that game, then there'd be a meltdown that only Hibs fans can do. So I don't think they did a job on us. I think he played like a Levein team. And yeah, they had a lot of the ball. They played probably some better football than we thought they would. But they had one shot from outside the box, or two shots, one on target, one off target. So despite them having parity on possession and looking a better team than what they normally are, didn't cause us any problems the whole game. You know, the big Marvin had the centre forward in his pocket. When he got the ball in turn, he did the flashy 2-footed stepping over the ball thing. Me and my mate both said the same thing. That's a player who thinks he's better than he really is. And Big Marv just stepped forward and took the ball off him. Just brilliant.
Yeah.
So I think, somebody said Dave Gray sends him out, not to lose a goal, be a bit cautious. But listen to Gray's post-match and pre-match stuff. He doesn't understand why they start slow. He's not how they're sent out. They just kind of retreat in the shell at Easter Road. So, second half, did St Johnstone come out at us? I don't recall them changing their shape. Still left the one big guy up front. So I just think we accelerated into the game. The substitutions made a hell of a difference. I just think we went up a level. The substitutions created a different problem for St Johnstone. They couldn't handle it. The left back in the first half, who everybody was raving about, I thought he had a good 15 minutes. I didn't rate him that highly.
I'd agree with you. Yeah.
He was caught out so many times down that side for Boyle's goal, for other chances. Everything was coming. A lot was coming down that side, and he was lost. And the left side, his centre half as well. So good performance. And I like to point out Triantis' ball to Cadden in the first half. Scotty Allen-esque, as somebody once said. Pinged it over the top. Better control from Cadden, and that's 1-0.
Yeah. One of the talking points we got, Jeff, was around the defence. You kind of spoke about it there, about how we limited St Johnstone that one shot outside the box. But there was a perception for a couple of people actually that texted us or tweeted us post-match to suggest that they still didn't really have that confidence in the defence, and we looked a wee bit shaky at times. Where do you stand on that point of view? Is that one you can sympathise with, or do you disagree?
I just wonder what game they were watching on Saturday, because the one positive was the defence looked solid as fuck for once. And I'm including Quan and Triantis in that. There was no panic. There was at one stage you thought, we're in trouble here. St Johnstone are going to score because of one of our fuck-ups or a good move from them. I mean, maybe I've got the rose-tinted specs on, but I don't recall anything at all. There was the natural anxiety till we got the second goal, but that's just with being a Hibs fan at the moment. But I don't recall anything where you think, there's a 2-on-1 or there's a chance here. Even when we made a mistake at the back, Big Marv recovered. And one thing my mate noticed was, he said, he's very quick across the ground. He's deceptively quick with those long legs. And the big centre forward couldn't get away from him at all. So I totally disagree with anyone that says we looked shaky on Saturday. Yes, we looked shaky all season, but Saturday was not one of those cases.
Okay, Callum, you get your hand up. What would you want to say?
Sorry, I'm pressing the wrong buttons here. Just I think it was 5 or 10 minutes of the second half, and I think Ekpateta played a 10-yard pass to O'Hara. They got cut out, and there was that kind of in the crowd. So I don't know if folk are just kind of clinging on to that. But as Jeff's saying, we were actually solid. I think it just takes for one wee mistake, and it's like, oh no, still not good enough. And for some Hibs fans, it never ever will be, unfortunately.
So a shaky crowd rather than a shaky defence, is that kind of what we're angling at here?
I think we're all guilty of being a bit, certainly in the last 10 minutes, if it had been 1-0, we would have been really anxious. We've all been here before, no matter who we play. But I mean, Ekpateta, just concentrate on Big Marv. The mistakes he's made have mostly been back passes, the real bad ones. Try to play football or passing it to Bursic. One of them was Bursic's fault. He should have moved towards the ball and cleared it in the stand.
Yeah.
So I don't recall him making any serious errors on the ground, one-on-one or in the air, unless anyone can correct me, in any of the games. So there's this perception. He's made a couple of basic mistakes, and he did put it forward a bit more on Saturday rather than try and pass it back, which was obvious. But I have been quite impressed with him on the quietly impressed.
I think the pitch was a wee bit slow. Definitely first half. I felt like the ball seemed to be holding up on the pitch a lot more. Like they needed to put a bit more oomph on the passes, and we almost got cut out a wee bit like that. I totally agree with you, by the way, Jeff, about Ekpiteta. I think we are starting to see the defender that we signed.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, there's still a long way to go before we could properly make a judgment on him. But I think I said that at the time. You don't get a career like he's had if you can't play football at a decent level. Like the mistakes that happened were anomalies. They weren't like the
When the Blackpool fans told us forget about him on the ground, and he's actually passed it okay and some of the long balls are better than his short passing.
Yeah.
But you get a defender. When you watch some of the balls coming, even at Celtic Park, he was putting the blocks in, winning the headers. At Kilmarnock, he had a fantastic game, against a very physical front two. They weren't perfect all the time. Kilmarnock created chances, but Kilmarnock are always going to create chances by lumping it in to do big lumps of wood up front. At some point, the ball's going to break or something's going to happen. So, yeah, I've been quite impressed with him. And O'Hara as well, to a lesser extent with the defending, but give him a chance.
Well, on the subject of Hora, Jack mentioned this already about the sort of the captaincy, and Jack said he kind of witnessed a bit more organisation or a bit more being vocal on the pitch. Was that something that you witnessed as well, Jeff? Or did you could you compare them?
I'm laughing because I said to my mate at the game, I says, "Who's captain today?" And I was trying to see who had the armband on, and I just thought O'Hara is a natural captain without actually having to wear the captain's armband. He organises from the back whether he's wearing the captain's armband or not. So to me, it's I like to see a centre half or a midfielder wear the armband. But if Joe comes back in and gets it, I have no problem with that. O'Hara will still carry on doing what he's doing at the back and organising, and I'm sure people will listen to him. He's got the experience as well. He's not come up as a 21-year-old, so he can. I'm happy that we've got a few potential captains in the team.
And are we needing to petition him to change his name to O'Hara just to get it over and done with? Because I've yet to say somebody can consecutively say his name correctly like 4 or 5 times. Is it O'Hara or Warren?
And I've just come back from Ireland. Everyone's anyway,
that's a lovely name. We're only joking, Warren, if you're listening. John, I'll bring you in. I suppose same question. How did you feel the game went on Saturday?
I think we see quite a lot in our league that, it wasn't a battle to be won in the first 20 minutes, but teams think that they can get at us. The Dundee game was probably the best example of a team that just ran hard at us and shut everything down. A bit of quality was what was missing in that sort of first half hour. Too many of our passes were just either a yard too long, a yard to the right. And we lost that sort of fluency. I think that the problem that Johan has is that there was nothing about how he presented on Saturday that was any different to the games where he's played really, really well. It's just it didn't work for him. So I think he naturally has that I don't give a fuck type look, and that's how he is as a person. And sometimes it's the emotions that we bring into it that sort of give you the idea of what you see. Did it work for him? No. The one chance he had was a header in the first half. And that was going just too high, and he didn't get a chance. But it didn't work down either side. It wasn't really working with Nicky Cadden on one side or Chris on the other. But we still created by far the better chances. And defensively, they had a couple of corners, but we were cutting them out. There was nothing getting into our 6-yard box. I can't think of any danger point that they had in our penalty box. I think you're actually onto the second cut of the grass outside the penalty area, which was their shot on target. And that's almost the idea that you had a coupon on to say that we'd have a shot on target, so I've hit the shot on target today. So we weren't in any danger, but not playing particularly well. But again, another aspect of Ekpiteta's game, he won that header at the back post, but he also was the guy who won the header at the back post for the chance in the second hand that Kwon put over the bar.
Yeah.
So that in terms of what he's bringing to us as a team, would we have thought a couple of years ago that we were going to be putting set pieces into a St Johnstone box and winning the header? No. So there's a development in the whole team. I accept the second half was so much better. But I think that there was a part of St Johnstone came out the traps, we're flying at us. We're at home. Probably that genuine bit of nervousness that the players are going to know that they've got to win the game. So start off by not losing it in the first half hour. Don't lose that. And when everything's settled down a bit, but no, I mean, I thought Hoylett's been, James touched on it. The quality of Hoylett's set pieces was brilliant. I mean, I thought the balls that he was putting in for the corners, I mean, had that bit of pace. We didn't get anything out of it, but that was for me in terms of building up where's the team going to come, and I think that could be something that gets him into the team more, because if he can hit the set piece, then that's another thing in the team. So, no, I was disappointed we didn't get a 4. I thought we had plenty of chances to get up to the 4-0. They were never coming anywhere near us in terms of the second half. And yeah, Levitt would have been a good sub. I'd love to have seen him on the pitch. But no, but St Johnstone at home, we beat them 2-0 without really overstretching ourselves or ever being in any real danger. And that's not something we've been able to say, I mean, for a few seasons. And that's a good thing about it.
It's like
a boring team with a better budget, just taking care of the little team.
A routine win, John, is what we're saying. Aye. How important the 3 points was it in the context of the season?
I think that just getting it off the bat, that David Gray can now say that he's won a game, and he loses that question in the press conference from McLaughlin saying, "You've not won a game for." I mean, that's the most important. There's all the what ifs about if we'd held on. The fact that we're up to something like, is it 7th place? I mean, I've not really looked at the league table. I mean, we've moved up to 7th place with 5 points from the number of games we've played. The league's going to be really tight. This isn't the time to get panicked or worried about it. Build the team, get them settled. Triantis and Kwon in midfield is always going to be good. You're going to mix it around in terms of who's going to play in that third position, depending on who you're up against. Be interesting to know whether Newell does have the hernia and he's out for a couple of months, or whether it's just a strain and he was just being protected. It's that. But Molotnikov, more than happy to see him get the game time. You've got Campbell that can come in behind that and give the other option in there. We're starting to see sort of Amos clearly has drifted out the picture. I think the only slight disappointment was you'd hope that Gale might have done enough to show that he could be on the bench, because that's the sort of game you would want him on for the last 10, 15 minutes instead of the McCurdy substitution. I mean, McCurdy came on, lots of energy, intercepted balls, absolutely harried us in Johnstone defence, so nothing in terms of him not doing anything. But a fox in the box in that last 10, 15 minutes would just have not been what the St Johnstone defenders wanted to see.
Has anybody ever seen an actual fox in a box?
A pigeon in a box, but not a fox in a box.
Decent. I'm not going to ask the circumstances.
And that's a classic work trick where you catch the pigeons overnight and you leave it in the boss's box for the morning as a package. Never done that?
Not yet, but it's on the bucket list now. The second half, so obviously we brought Hoyle on, we brought Boyle on, Josh Campbell as well. Now, remember, Josh Campbell was touted at the start of the season as being a sort of is going to play a significant role in the team, and then he's found himself away from the starting 11. David Gray said after, I think it was the Dundee game, it might have been Celtic, but we said we're in the middle of some short-term pain for long-term gain, right? That old cliche. Saturday was probably the first time we've had close to the full squad available. Obviously, Bowie and Newell were out, 2 significant players. But you were able to sort of see a bit of a difference. How significant do you think that is, John, to us starting to see the real Hibs?
Continuity will be important. As I say, I would see Triantis and Kwon will be the 2 names that go into that midfield. And the third midfielder, whether we're playing sort of a 10 or energy, because Mariah Welsh is there as well. We can change what the midfield looks like depending on who we're playing against. Molotnikov is doing brilliant, but we've seen before where we've overplayed young players where their form takes a dip. I think the great thing is that he's still getting the starts. He came back from Scotland having performed well over the games that he played there. has to keep his confidence going, doesn't look out of place, but his form will dip at some point, and it means that we've got players in the background that can come through. And the bench was great. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course you can.
What did you think of Boyle saying that his dad had told him that he's got to get his own stats up? Is that not the coach's worst nightmare when you're taking kids where that dads are telling their own kids to be really. I'd
funny.
Take all the goals. I'll pay you $5 for the goals.
As soon as I read that, it took me back. So when I used to coach Josh's team, I'm not doing an Ian here. Like Ian's not here to defend himself, right? But when I used to coach Josh's team, Bayside in Dunfermline, we had a couple of laddies who were really, really good players, but they could kick the ball further than everybody else. When they're at that age where that's like a significant advantage, and we used to kind of say, right, we're not wanting you shooting all the time. We're wanting you to, try different positions, and then they just dribble past everybody because you can. We were wanting to kind of just develop them their all-round game, and every week we were undone with their dads giving them a $5 a goal. So they were just like, they weren't bothered their arse. And now Martin Boyle's dad, as a grown-up, is giving him that same advice. He needs to listen. He needs to listen to David Gray. He needs to forget what his old man's saying. Listen to David Gray. Although the advice worked on this count, so probably let it slide. But good question. Stephen, going to bring you in. You've been kind of waiting patiently. You need to bring yourself off mute, mate. How did you, in fact, start off? What strip have you got on the day? That's definitely not a Hibs strip you're wearing there. Brilliant. There we go. Just the unmute button. That's your video, right? I think you're off mute now. You can speak, but we can't see you. No. It's all right. You've got to, nobody's going to notice. I don't know. I might be able to unmute you. Hold on. Did you get any notification there? There you go.
I got that there. You hear me all right?
Yes, we're in.
Fucking yes, there we go.
Right.
To answer your question,
I forgot the question. Have we played Rangers yet?
No, my top's Hoffenheim top.
Is it?
For
Right.
Germany. I got it in a mystery box fucking years ago, and it's one of the ones where I was looking for a top, just obviously like sitting about it. I thought, fuck it, I'll just put that on the now, fuck it. But aye.
At least it wasn't a pigeon in the mystery box. It could have been you've struck gold there. Aye, Saturday. What do you think of the game?
To be fair, a lot of the guys have said everything that I've been thinking. I thought the first half we were pretty pedestrian in the first half. There was bits of the game going on that I could really see what we were trying to do, and sadly it just wasn't coming off. As was said, the pass was always a yard too further forward or to the side or whatever. And it looked at one point like it was just going to be a typical Hibs and St Johnstone game, not a lot of creativity in the middle of the pitch. And getting the goal when we did absolutely helped us, absolutely, because you could feel the relief round the whole stadium. That we were going in a goal up, and as I say, scoring when we did, it was just you could feel the relief. Second half, however, we were fantastic in the second half, and it was actually nice walking away from Easter Road with that wee bit of positivity. Like, let's not mess about. There's been a bit of a cloud over Hibs the last couple of weeks. No winning the games and everything like that, and no looking particularly great in a lot of games. But it was nice walking away from Easter Road on Saturday there. Clean sheet, 2 goals, really, really positive performance. A lot of players. The second half, I struggled to pick out a man of the match because I thought the second half we were outstanding. Really, really positive vibes going on with Triantis and Quan in the middle of the park there now. I actually think that they two sitting there is going to be beneficial going forward because you'll have players like Yuan and Hoylett and everything like that who, when we're going forward, they're probably not going to be able to come back all the time. But to have they two just in there plugging the gaps, brilliant, But genuinely, it was lovely walking home on Saturday, just thinking, right, that's the win, monkeys off the back, let's go forward and see where we go. And to be fair, and I said on Saturday there, the only way is up for here, that's genuinely my opinion. And as I say, it's a wee bit of positivity. I'm trying my hardest not to be negative about anything, but no, honestly, only way is up for here for Hibs.
the thing about coming away for Easter Road on a Saturday night after a win, it's been a long time having that feeling, Stephen. How nice was that?
This is it. I mean, to be fair, like, listen, I said this the other day, we've started the season not great. You know what I mean? Obviously, you played Celtic twice in 2 weeks at the start of the campaign. Playing Dundee, I thought there was flashes of what we were trying to do against Dundee, but it was the same sort of wee individual errors that were letting us down. And then we followed that up there against Kilmarnock. I mean, for what I heard, don't get me wrong, I didn't go to the Kilmarnock game, but for what I heard, we were fantastic. And then we gave away a really stupid penalty right at the death, and it turns 3 points into one. So the thing that really impressed me on Saturday was we looked solid. The sort of the wee individual mistakes that had been plaguing us, they weren't there. And hopefully, again, that's just a turning point to say, that's us. We're on the way now. Obviously, I'm coming up with all this praise here. We're probably going to go into the next game and get hammered, but it is what it is. But as I said, at this point, just positive vibes only. Yeah.
It's an interesting one about how you saying there about the wee individual mistakes weren't there. Was it when they weren't there, or was it that we didn't get punished for them this time?
I suppose you could look at that. That's two sides, unfortunately. It's one of the ones where when we make an individual mistake against a team like Celtic, like for example, what we've done in the League Cup, Celtic are always going to punish it. Celtic, I'm not being funny, Celtic are light years ahead of every Scottish team, and I'm including Rangers in that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it showed there the other night when they played in the Champions League. They treated that like it was a league game for them, and they were on the front foot for the word go, and it showed. Do you know what I mean? Whereas, obviously, as you say, you come up against Kilmarnock, another individual mistake. Again, I want to say that the individual mistakes weren't there on Saturday, because again, we're trying to look at everything positively here. But as you say, if we're making mistakes and we're not getting caught out, brilliant. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's going to come days where we're going to make mistakes in matches and they're going to get caught out. It's the way football is. Do you know what I mean?
The reason I asked that, right, there's a story about Hearts having Tony Bloom going to give them access to the scouting and all the rest of it. And there's a boy on Hibs.net, and I'm really sorry if he's listening because I forgot who posted it, but he recommended an audio book called How to Win the Premier League. And it's on Spotify. It's by Ian Graham. And I thought I'll have a listen to this. Right? It's about using data and stuff like that to sort of win football games and spot players and all the rest of it. But one of the things that he talks about is when Liverpool were hiring Klopp, he reviewed Klopp had this bad run with Dortmund, and he basically said, like, for the data, Dortmund should have won all of these games, and Klopp was like, "Fucking right, we should have won it." Like, did you see the game? And he's like, "Nah, but the data tells you." And it's that thing where the result influences the way that you see the game. So when we make a mistake against Celtic, or we give away like a penalty against Kilmarnock, and the result changes, it totally affects how you see the performance. Whereas we make the same mistakes that didn't go punished in a 2-0 win, and it's dead easy to write them off. And it's almost like, how do you get to the point, Kim, when we have that 1-1 with Kilmarnock, or when we concede a late goal against Dundee, or wherever it is, how do you get to the point where you can detach yourself from the result to still sort of say, actually, we played quite well when it was only that wee one moment, it wasn't very good. It's I just found it interesting.
Personally, I think, to be honest with you, from my point of view, I totally agree with what Klopp says. There's times where, because obviously I follow Liverpool as well, and you talk about ways that his team's played and everything like that, and as has been said, the data's there to say that they're playing games and everything like that. But then again, we talk about, as you're saying there, it changes everything about the dynamic of the game. But the problem that we've got is we can't get away from data. Even for the higher uppers at Easter Road now, like you're listening to the Ian Gordon interview the other day, and he talks about data, and he talks about data departments and recruitment, not recruitment analysis, sorry, but he talks about analysis and everything like that. Sometimes you've just got to look at what's in front of you. It doesn't have to be data this and data that. Just look at what's in front of you. If you're playing well, you think you're playing well, just go for it. It's a mentality thing. You know what I mean?
Exactly the opposite point that the boy in the book makes. Like, you couldn't be more different to what the boy was saying in the book.
Right.
But Never mind. James, you your hand up.
Yeah, it's just on the mistakes. Like, I don't think there was more or less mistakes on Saturday, but I think what Gray touched on, I think in a few interviews, it's an individual mistake and a second mistake leads to a third mistake and then a goal. I think we made the individual mistake, but we made sure we didn't make the second bloody mistake. We actually said, right, stop it here. Either just put it for a throw and just get it to fuck. Just no second mistakes. There's no kind of continuous kind of fault. So I think that's maybe what we're cutting out. The mistakes are still there, but I think we're learning about the second and third mistakes.
It's a good observation, James, because I hadn't considered that, to be fair, and he definitely did talk about that, and it has been a sort of a feature of our play. Right, Rangers up next. I suppose like we could talk about how the game goes and all the rest of it, but we don't know where the game's going to be played yet, what the ticket situation is. Jack, I'll bring you in. You've not had a chance to speak for a wee bit here, mate. What do you make of all then? Is the game going to go ahead at Ibrox, you think?
I don't know. I mean, they've been working on this stadium since before the season even started, and it's dragged on into this season. I don't even know what's going to happen on that Sunday. No idea.
Have a guess.
Probably get postponed or something like that.
I didn't think you were going to guess for the postponement, but I'm glad you did. Brighten up my night, Jack.
Just a guess. I don't even know.
Assuming the game goes ahead, how do you see it panning out?
Well, my dad says if we can go there and get a draw, then we're still getting a point. But a win's going to be. I don't see that happening because you know what Rangers are like against us.
So Rangers have had our number a wee bit over the last wee while. One of the points I made on, I can't remember if it was extra time or if it was on Sunday's one, Jack, was the last couple of managers that we've had have sort of insisted that we're going to play a certain way, and then where that sort of can fall down is when we go up against the better teams in the league, so likes of Celtic and Rangers, and they either stick to their guns and take a horse in, as we've seen, or they kind of do this halfway house and neither being one thing or the other, and we get a horse in anyway. Do you think David Gray has sort of been quite clever in the way that he's spoken about how Hibs will play, and that he's not committed to a style? He's just sort of said, we'll adapt game to game.
Yeah, I think he's spoke positive in his words with that. I think he's trying to do, because he did say he wants to do different formations against different opponents like the old firm Celtic, Rangers. But what the formations will be, I don't know.
No. I suppose we have that versatility now. Callum, what about you? How do you? Well, first of all, where do you see the game going ahead, and how do you think it will go ahead?
For what I gather, I think they're playing at Ibrox for this League Cup game, but depending on what you read on Twitter and things, it's the away fan section that's not quite finished. So I don't know, but in terms of going up against them, they've had mixed results. Struggled against Motherwell, hammered Ross County, so you just don't know what you're going to get with them. I just think if we go in there and just frustrate them, the crowd will get on top of them really, really quick. They've been doing their kind of protest, but not going to Hampden and stuff like that. So if we can rattle them up to half time, then we might be able to punch something. It'll be interesting to see what he does with the midfield in terms of if it's the same as what it was against St Johnstone, or he changes things up to bring Neil back in. I think it's one of the games where you could easily say that like a Boyle or a Ewan or a Hoyle would be great off the bench, but the other kind of, I'd like to see them starting and us having a go. Me saying that and what we'll actually do is also very different things, but I think we need to get their fans on top of them and get them under pressure to have any chance.
I think there's one of the things that we saw on Saturday, and I'm going to use the phrase again because I liked it, was the feed in the grass that Stephen McGinn talked about in the sports scene with the ball in front of Martin Boyle. So I think we can lose the number 10 at Ibrox. No, obviously you still need to have a player there, but we didn't need to. They're not like the traditional 10 in an attacking sense. We could bring in if Neil's still injured, then you maybe look at Mariah Welsh or Levitt or somebody like to come in and have sort of three, like no particularly forward thinking midfielders, if they can feed the grass on the wings, and then you let the pace of Boyle or Ewan or Hoylett get in behind them. Because Miko's obviously getting in the goals as well, Callum. Do you think that's probably an opportunity for us to get at Rangers that way?
Aye. I don't think they're great at the back. I think there's a lot of question marks over this Proper and Yefty that play on the kind of left side. And I didn't see much of the game. It's kind of half on the telly, half on the radio that weekend with Dundee United. And in that second half, Dundee United got at them, although I think Goodwin admitted they just never had the quality in the end. So we have got that quality to get at them. Their kind of main goal threats, obviously, the boy Dressers or Dessers, if I got to call it. So if we can kind of keep him quiet, then we've definitely got a chance.
I think if you can restrict Dessers to like 6 chances, he'll no score against you. I think it's when he gets the 7th when that's when he's when he steps up. John, what about you? How do you see it going?
I think firstly, it's nice to see the panic that they've gone through to get away from Hampden before they're playing us.
Yep.
I mean, I think Sunday they're only playing in front of 3.5 stands, but they can do that because it's a cup game, and they don't have to guarantee their season ticket holders. They've got to wait for Glasgow City Council Safety Department to sign it off. I mean, whilst there be a huge amount of pressure on Glasgow City Council to do that,
imagine the handshakes that are going on now.
They're not, but let's face it, you just look at the number of court cases, culpable manslaughter now exists in Scotland, so they sign it off and something bad happens, and that's again the tragedy. I mean, that led to 71 lives being lost at Ibrox shouldn't be forgotten. I mean, and it wasn't the reference to that. I deliberately bring it up to sort of show that a bit of awareness, but they can't go against the safety. So I reckon we might. Hopefully, we find out soon. It could be the middle of next week. I mean, and if I'm really candid about it, they should be making the decision now. I mean, people who are going to try and arrange supporters buses through Ibrox is a stadium that I won't set foot in as it stands. But the safety arrangements to get fans through there, the work that has to be done about getting the buses parked up, getting fans into the ground, I think it's ludicrous that it's been allowed to go this late. I'd imagine that there's voices in the background, from out with football who are quite stringently trying to get this sorted. And if Rangers have to turn around and say we can't give Hibs an allocation, then yeah, I'm quite happy with that because it'll be quid pro quo as far as I'm concerned. But no, I think people have got it right. We have to go out, as you say, whether you bring in Mariah Welsh, whether you put Molotnikov in a slightly different position in midfield, frustrate them, don't give them the start that Celtic got against us, and look at the last 15 minutes of the first half against Celtic and a bit of the second half. Then we were able to go toe-to-toe with the best team in Scotland. I mean, make them look a bit shaky, and it's the only time that I've seen them look shaky this season.
Yeah.
We're still the only Scottish team to have scored a goal against them so far. So, no, I think we have to go through with that confidence, but it comes from that game plan. It's having the confidence to say, yeah, we can stop them, we can defend, they won't get past us, and we transition up the pitch. Set pieces will be important. We've got the height now to trouble them. And I don't know, maybe we just bring Galo on and keep it 0-0 for the first 75 minutes and bring Galo on to do a wee homage to Ivan and get 3 goals in the last 15.
Take that. I will get the score predictions before we wrap up, so to prepare to count however many goals Hibs are going to get. James, what were you? What's your not your score prediction, but how do you see us being able to beat Rangers?
Well, first of all, the Hibs first email went out today, and they're not making a decision what's happening to early next week.
Bloody hell!
So I don't think we're getting tickets, or it's going to be a collect at the door. So. I mean, the stand is buggered, isn't even the away end. It's the opposite end of the pitch. It's the home end. So God knows what they're doing. But I think it's just to do with the season ticket holders. But as I think John had it right in nail, if they give us no tickets, we tell them to stick up their arse and don't let them get any tickets at our place. I just hope Hibs will get the back. But I know there's reasons for not getting tickets here, but it'd just be nice for Hibs to grow up here and say, no, you're not getting in. As for the game, I love going to Ibrox because it's just 90 minutes of shithousery, winding them up. Well, my old man was a Rangers fan, and I spread some of his ashes at a Hibs game in our end, so it means a wee bit more to me for that reason alone. For our team, I don't know if I go 5 at the back, take the 10 out, and maybe 3 centre halves. I just think we need, if we go for 5 in midfield, I just need some grit. Those 3 kind of triangle, Quan, Francis, and just somebody with a bit of strength, just force them to go wide, and then use our pace on the counter. As I said, I think Yuan, Boyle, and Miko up top. The back 5 picks itself at the moment. I mean, I wouldn't change that. Result, their squash between Malmo and Leon. I hope they take their eye off the ball and they play us. I mean, I said this was St Mirren and they pumped us. So I probably not mention that ever again, but I'm hoping they have got their eyes elsewhere on the big money ticket and we can sneak a draw, which would be nice, or a 92nd minute winner. Be cool.
That would be good. Right, well, didn't give us a score just yet. We'll come to you. So it's going to catch Jeff and Stephen, and I'll come around the table and get a score off everybody. Jeff, are you letting Giannis need any defensive free kicks after the last time at Ibrox when he took one?
Yeah, didn't he make a fuck up or something on Saturday? I can't remember. It was quite funny. Nothing came of it, but he did do something stupid. I can't remember what it was there. I remember thinking, oh, here we go. But yeah, highlight of last season. The birth of a load of memes, unfortunately, about Hibs. Yeah, David Gray talks about teams to suit the occasion. So do we play the same team that started or finished Vicky Verkey on Saturday without McCurdy? We'll obviously keep Miko up front. I think it'll be virtually the same team, but it's a difficult one. Another extra body in midfield. We don't want to lose a goal. Keep it tight. Tavernier's a problem for them. He's great going forward, but if he can get in behind on that right-hand side, Hoylett or Yuhan or somebody. Is Boyle going to be fit for this? I know he's having an operation on his wrist.
I don't know.
If Boyle's not fit, I'd be tempted to go Miller right back and Cadden right side of the 3, pushing further forward, which was his original position when he started with Motherwell. He wasn't a right back. Give us a bit of stability on that side, so that takes care of the right. The left-hand side, you've got Obita, probably Nicky Cadden. That's quite a strong pairing. 3 butchers in midfield, and then Big Meek up front, and then bring on the subs to win the game later on.
We take that. I think definitely Tavernier's a weak link for them, and if you've got pace, like you see every time Celtic play them, they just put Maeda against them, and Tavernier just can't cope with them, and I think that's what I would be doing if I was David Grace. Who's the fastest in the team? And if we get too fast folk up against them, just do that overload, and you just totally ruin Tavernier's game because he can't commit forward if he's worried about what's going behind him.
It might be a game for you, and I know you didn't have a great game on Saturday, and as somebody said, he always looks disinterested until he gets the ball, and then he does something ridiculous, fantastic. I just, it might be a game for him to stick him on Tavernier, or maybe second half, put him on there. Hoylett naturally plays on the left as well. If you watched him with Aberdeen last year, he never played very few games on the right. And when he came on against Celtic in the semi-final, he played left and just kept popping balls in with his right foot to the back post to great effect. It's a difficult one. It'll be interesting to see what the team is. Do we keep Rudy in the team, or do we pick somebody a bit? I think Rudy can play the sort of 10/8 role if he needs to, be a hybrid. Sorry, you were going to say something else, Matty. I interrupted you.
I've no idea what I was going to say, so it doesn't matter. I'll go to Stephen. Stephen, just very quickly, if you sort of tell us how you think the game's going to go, and then you can give us the first score prediction.
I got to be a tough game. No, no matter what, you go to Rangers or Celtic, it's always going to be a hard game. I agree with what the guys are saying there. Hopefully, just keep tight, compact, and hit them on the counter. Totally agree with what everybody said about Tavernier. To me, he is a big weak link for that Rangers team. I've never ever rated him. So hopefully he has an absolute stinker on the Sunday when we play them. I hope he has a stinker. Score-wise, I'm not going to see if you gave me a 1-0 win now, I'd bite your hand off for it.
Right. Is that what you're going for then? 1-0 Hibs?
I'm going 1-0 Hibs.
Right. Callum?
2-1 Hibs.
Nice one. John?
2-1 Hibs. Tavernier to score the penalty that they're given.
He misses the second one in the last minute. Aye. Jeff?
1-0 Hibs.
James?
1-0.
Right, Jack, you're last up. What's the score going to be?
1-0 Hibs.
Tremendous. Right. As always, a clean sweep of Hibs win predictions. Right. Just before we go, we do still have a competition going if you want to win a signed Hibs third strip, which is the snazzy green and purple striped number. It's not signed by us on the podcast, it's signed by the Hibs team, so it is actually worth something. All you need to do is be registered as a subscriber on our Patreon or on our YouTube members come 7 o'clock on Sunday. There's a free trial on Patreon, so you don't have to spend any money. You can just go and sign up, take advantage of the 7-day free trial to enter the competition. If you do forget to cancel it, I'll no complain. But if you didn't really want to subscribe, do remember, please, to go and cancel it. We'll be back on Sunday with the normal episodes, and we will be launching, I think, I've not confirmed it all with Colin and John. We're sort of in the early stages, just agreeing that we're going to be doing it. But we're planning to launch a sort of short Friday night preview episode coming out soon, where we'll be sort of picking our team for the weekend and predicting what's going to happen. So keep an eye out for that. It'll just go out on YouTube. It probably won't go out as a podcast, so we're going to clog up everybody's podcast players. But keep an eye out for that, and we'd love to see you on YouTube when we put it out.